Hi, it's Anna here. I'm back today with another video for my inner work video series, and today I want to discuss what I like to call the inner work trifecta. And basically this is my own experience again, just wanting to give you a zoomed out view of everything that's helped me in my inner work journey, because I feel like I haven't actually done that so far in this series. And this is to give you like an overall holistic view of what has helped me. So I'm sure you've heard before, the expression mind, body, spirit. And basically it's a retake of that, because I do believe that you cannot address inner work by only looking at your trauma. It's actually a holistic approach, and wounds and trauma is only one aspect of it. So what I shared a while back on my Instagram channel is this graph, and it's showing you the 3 pillars that have really worked for me, and all the different things that I've had to do to help me on my inner work journey. And when you embark on this inner work journey, I like to call step 1 being knowledge. I feel like it's the first step because, to put it simply, you don't know what you don't know, right? So to expand your awareness and actually look at your blind spots and understand where you need to work, right? And you need to actually dig in and find that knowledge. And then step 2 is the embodiment part, which is going to be mindset and self. And I'll go into each of these in detail. So with knowledge, what I want to do is to give you specific examples of what I've done and the knowledge that I've gathered to help me on my inner work journey. Please bear in mind that we are all different, we are all individual. Like the inner work journey, even though there are overarching themes, is very personal. So this is just to give you an insight into my own world, I guess, in the hope that it's gonna give you nuggets of wisdom to help you on your own journey. But your journey will look different to this. So the knowledge piece has been instrumental, and it's at the basis of this YouTube channel, right? That's when I started reading parenting books and self-help books and actually implementing that in my journey. I realized that that knowledge was opening me up to improving myself and healing myself so much. And it makes complete sense because, as mentioned, you don't know what you don't know, and you are blind to so many things that are actually keeping you stuck. And it's about removing that naivete, that ignorance that is keeping you blind. So some of the knowledge that I've gathered, as you know, is parenting, understanding my role as a parent, understanding the neuroscience behind parenting, and understanding what is age-appropriate behavior for children, which is why I did this whole child development playlist. I also did a lot of research on psychology, inner work specifically, shadow work, childhood trauma, understanding dynamics in relationships. A huge one for me was narcissism. I have a lot of experience with narcissists, and I had to actually get really good at understanding the narcissistic playbook so I could protect myself. And I know there is a lot of people out there who are upset because there's a lot of talk on narcissism, and it's a word that's overused. It's a word that's actually used now out of the context of psychology, but for a lot of us, it's actually freeing us from toxic relationships, to put it simply. And it's not necessarily your partner, it's your parents, your family, your friends. And once you understand the playbook, you can no longer be manipulated and tricked, because you can pick up on what's going on. You become so smart, right? Less naive. I feel like I had a lot of rose-colored glasses to remove in my life, and knowledge is what helped me completely remove those rose-colored glasses. And other knowledge that I've gathered, I've talked about relationships and also spirituality, understanding big spiritual concepts, and trying to see like how they apply to my life. And that's the next step, right? Application, because knowledge is only step 1, and I do feel like a lot of people actually stay stuck here. But it's actually only one piece of the puzzle. If you don't do anything with that knowledge, it's useless. So step 2 is really where the embodiment piece comes in, which is actually the most difficult and the most important step. And I divided that into 2 parts, which is mindset and self. So let's start with mindset. In my opinion, inner work is not just looking at your traumas and your wounds. A lot of it is actually rewiring your mind. And if you've watched any of the videos that I've done on neuroscience, I did a summary of the book The Whole Brain Child and also Parenting from the Inside Out, where the author really explains the neuroscience behind change and the fact that our brain is malleable. And the good news is actually it means that even though we have been programmed a certain way based on our upbringing and society at large, we can actually rewire it, and it takes repetition. Like by taking this step to repeatedly reframe your thoughts, you actually are completely rewiring your brain. And so, what I did was rewiring my thoughts in terms of really looking at my cognitive distortions and the way I was actually being extremely critical of myself, and, becoming aware of that and rewiring those thoughts every time they came on. And that's the part that a lot of people don't want to do because it's so tedious, and it's something you have to constantly be doing every single day. And the good news though is that at the end of all this work, you have rewired your brain in the sense that having loving thoughts towards yourself become second nature. So what I looked at in terms for that was, really developing a growth mindset instead of berating myself and, like critiquing myself for making mistakes. Looking at life as an experience and basically growth for my soul. And so the fact that mistakes are actually okay, and that's how I learn. Also, rewiring these thoughts into very loving thoughts. A lot of the mindset work was also, shifting the limiting beliefs that I had around, my role as a parent and how I view my children. So that required a lot of rewiring as well. Shifting my limiting beliefs about love and helping others. A big one for me was actually understanding what true love is versus what it's not. Rescuing people and enabling them is not love. And you basically cannot help people who don't want to be helped. So, fighting that urge every time it came on and rewiring those thoughts. And as I mentioned before, also removing rose-colored glasses. So becoming very good at observing what was happening in front of me and rewiring my thoughts in terms of not making it mean anything about myself, no longer taking things so personally, understanding that there's a lot of people out there who have wounds and who are completely fucked up, and they tend to project on you their wounds or their fucked mind. Sorry for my French. And actually a big mindset that has really helped me is rewiring this belief that I had that hurt people, because it's actually not true, and it's been proven by a lot of clinical psychologists that there are a lot of people who go through trauma and stay really loving and in their heart. There are some people, of course, that go through trauma and, it darkens their heart and they are wounded and they behave badly. But there are also people who don't go through any trauma and become narcissistic. So I had to really look at completely rewiring that belief, because it was actually keeping me stuck. This belief that if someone doesn't treat me well is because they are wounded is something that just needs to go. And once I fully understood that, rewired that, and accepted that, it transformed everything for me. And the last piece is what I call self. So with that, I want to start with the fact that a lot of the inner work journey is actually getting your health in order. I mean, I know it's so simple to say that, but I think it's a step that a lot of people forget. They tend to think that inner work is just about healing yourself and your wounds, but no, it's not. Like, it's actually healing your health is just so paramount, and it's probably actually number one. In the knowledge piece as well, I didn't mention before, but there was a lot of knowledge that I gathered around health. and specifically around nutrient deficiencies, because sometimes you can have this anxiety and this depression and it has nothing to do with the faulty wiring in your brain. It's actually that you are completely depleted. To put it simply, I'm just going to give very simple examples, but if you have a deficiency in magnesium, you're going to struggle with sleep. If you struggle with sleep, then it affects your patience with the kids, and like you feel overwhelmed, and it just affects everything, right? So for me, I had to really address gut health and nutrient deficiencies. And once I addressed that, I had so much more life force energy that was given to me that I could actually, spend on other things in my inner work journey, right? So that's why I feel like it's number one. The second one with self is self-love. I've done videos before explaining that to me, inner work is all about self-love, especially for someone like me who had internalized the abuse. I had to really focus on recentering on myself and really loving myself. Like I said before, rewiring those thoughts into loving and positive thoughts, and coming to a place where I really appreciate who I am and I love who I am. With the self as well, I've done and explained in the video called Emotions as a GPS System, really tuning into my own body and my feelings and understanding what they are trying to tell me as messengers, and really discerning what's mine and what's not mine. Also, a big one for me was putting boundaries, and I put that in the self category because boundaries are for you. We tend to forget that part, and we tend to feel guilty and not well when people don't respond well to our boundaries. But the boundary is to protect yourself. It's actually for you. Overall, also having a spiritual practice. I've mentioned before on this channel that meditation has really helped me to really zoom out and become more peaceful, more calm, more patient, and no longer take things so personally, when you are so zoomed in and so in the moment. And also in terms of spiritual practice, what I consider spiritual practice is spending a lot more time in nature, grounding in nature, and spending more time alone as well to really connect with myself on an ongoing basis. So that's it in a nutshell. Again, this is based on solely my experience and what has worked for me. People go through different approaches, and that's totally fine. I think when you start on this journey, just basically follow the crumbs. Follow what gets presented in front of you, and that usually looks like conflict in your relationships, and start reflecting on those and start to feel and tuning into your emotions and start to understand like what those emotions are trying to tell you. That's it for today. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll be back for more soon.